Hello, my name is Bradley and I'm your host of The Internal Game. Okay, so in the book The Power of Now, which is like my favorite book ever, I mean, you'd think that Eckhart Tolle is actually paying me for how much I talk about it. He's not, right? But nonetheless, I love this book. It's helped me so much. And he talks about how you are the universe pretending to be a human being for a little while. Right? You may hear things like you are God experiencing yourself as a human being for a little while, right? And then, the mind's like, okay, we're God. All right, well, hell yeah, we're God. But like, the mind doesn't necessarily know what this means. Like, the mind just tries to make another identity out of being God, right? And I want to like kind of give it a good example here about like what you are God means, right? Like what it is, right? Something maybe you can even think about and kind of get. So, in the book, The Power of Now, he says, you don't have a life, you are life, right? Like, you don't have a life, you are life. So what this looks like is, right now, you have the luxury of trying to manifest SP, money, better experiences. You have the luxury of literally thinking about whatever you want, even if it doesn't necessarily seem that way sometimes. You're like, man, my thoughts are, but you have the luxury of thinking, because there is something that is keeping you alive that you do not have to worry about at all. You do not wake up in the morning thinking, man, is my heart going to beat today? Am I going to keep breathing good? Like, you're alive. Okay? And you are alive because you are being lived by this universe. If you had to use your mind, because a lot of times in these identities, these mind-made selves, we believe this is who we are. But if you had to keep yourself alive with your mind, you had to make your heart beat. You had to actually think about it, like make your heart beat, and your lungs expand, and get your eyesight on track, and do all the functions in your brain and all your organs and all this stuff. Like, you'd be dead in like 30 seconds. Because there's something that's keeping you alive, and it is this thing called the unmanifested, God, the universe, right? So you're actually like, it's living through you. It is actually in a human body, like in your case, a human body, experiencing its own self. It's God experiencing its creation in a human body, creating new experiences, like doing all this other stuff, right? And relationships and this and that, and just like old Buddy the dog here, and Bailey the dog, like they are also God experiencing himself or itself, the universe experiencing itself as a dog for a little while. Difference is my dogs don't think that they are their mind. That's it, right? But nonetheless, that's what like this whole God thing is. Like, you are God the same way a sun ray is the sun. You are like a wave in the entirety of the ocean. You're ocean and drop kind of stuff, right? But you are God nonetheless, and you have your own focal point. Your own focal point in your body, in your own awareness. And in this particular awareness, you're creating your reality, experiencing your reality from this focal point based on what you believe to be true, what's in your awareness, how you think things are, how you think you are, all this stuff, right? But nonetheless, it's God doing this. And God is doing it with the dog, with your best friend, with my best friend, with the people downtown here, with the giraffe at the zoo, all of it. Everybody, everything, the grass, trees, all of it at the same time. God is big. The universe is big, right? It's doing this everywhere. And we're walking around trying to manifest SP and money. Nothing wrong with it, because again, it is just experience, and you should have that. If you have the desire, it is yours, right? If this is who you want, it's yours. And I want to tell a little story about this. So Eckhart Tolle, now that we're talking about the power of now, or now that I'm talking about the power of now, I've talked about this before, but he basically had intense suffering in his imagination and put himself through suffering like we all do, highly identifiable mind kind of stuff, right? And in a moment of just intense suffering, he kind of breaks and gave up, and he becomes like enlightened in short form, I guess, in the story. And a little while after he was enlightened, he said he was in just like intense He said right after that happened, he was like in states of intense joy. And he was like, and then he finally got this idea to write a book, a desire to write a book. Like being called, being pulled, being lived by God in his body, his focal point, to write a book. Desire. What does Neville say? Your desire, once you get the desire, it is a fact that is yours. Okay, so Eckhart gets the idea to write a book. And he tells a couple people, and they're like, hey, dude, like, bro, people have already wrote a book on like presence, man, and stuff like that. And he was like, it's okay. He didn't identify with them. He didn't say, oh, well, like, they must be just parroting back my consciousness, though. And he wasn't like, oh, dude, like, maybe he's right, though. Maybe he's right. Like, there has been books like that, probably. Like, what am I going to say that's different? He didn't care. He just said, no, it's okay. I'm just going to write a book. I'm just going to write a book. And he gets on a piece of paper and he writes book. Then he proceeds to write this book. And a few years later, he wasn't rushing, he wasn't affirming, oh, my book's going to be the biggest spiritual book, like maybe of this century. Like, he wasn't affirming any of these things. He was just being, knowing, wrote the book. And like 3 years later, like, I mean, he had some sales and some things like that he was doing, and the book was making its way. But like, when people tell you things like things need to move sometimes to make sure things happen, well, things did move sometime, or did move in this case, just like they always do. And the next thing you know, Oprah found his book. She invites him on the show. Or actually, she made a book club on Power of Now and invites him on the show, and like the book blows the fuck up. He's actually the only person to be on the Oprah Book Club twice, right? But nonetheless, you get what I'm saying. Like it blew up. Because he had a desire. God had a desire through him, and then he did it. So when you're getting your desire about person or whatever, all that stuff, right? It's yours. But what Eckhart didn't have to deal with was his identification with mind and all the reasons why it wasn't going to happen, or why this wouldn't work, or oh my God, the presence book that's already been written before. No, he did not. He wasn't really dealing with that because he wasn't identified with mind anymore. That's why I tell you guys all the time, start with just a thought, just a thought, just a thought. Stop buying into stuff, because these identities are not you. And so like once you get the desire, it is yours, because it's God that wants this. It's the universe that wants this. Your desires are yours. And even if it's not a strong desire, if you want to experience it, just say it. Claim it. And then do not buy into thoughts that are the opposite of this. Easier to do when you start disidentifying with thought in general. Realize that things are just thoughts, that they're not who you are. These identities that you have thought yourself up to be are mind-made selves. Still not who you are. Right? Identities that you've identified with and experienced what comes with these identities, and it makes things like this seems like they're really true about you and how you perceive the world. Someone asked me the other day, like, hey, did I create the United States? And I was like, well, as a collective consciousness, because you are one and you've always been around, yeah, but like as far as like your particular focal point in the United States, no, but you have created your experience in the United States by how you think, believe, and about self and the United States. Like, if you believe in racism in the United States, you see. If you believe in how certain people are, how you are, how women are, men are, how the United States is in general, like how the government is, all this stuff. And it's like this with everything. But yeah, and I was like, so you're creating your experience of the United States in your focal point, but like there's also different focal points. Like you and me and every other one who has different focal point, that's still God, that's creating their entire experience through their awareness and their focal point. But nonetheless, it could be a different one, but still the same God, right? Now, when people are in your awareness, they are reflecting back you. Don't overthink this. That's what the mind does. It overthinks stuff. If you get the desire, it is yours. That's it. Okay? And when you're calling yourself God, realize that the mind can't really make sense of this, and that's okay. The mind doesn't need to. You need to start getting in touch with, because it can't grasp how big that the whole thing is. I mean, what mind could? Who the fuck could? I can't. I can barely keep a fucking like 12 plants alive. Like there's no way that like with my mind, and I'm feel like I'm sharp. Let alone like everything everywhere. So like it's not to understand, it's to actually be understood, and the only way to understand it is to feel it. Like the only way you can understand is to feel it, is to get out of mind, feel the presence within, right? Trust, like trust yourself. Stop, like, you have to get out of the fear. Trust yourself that the desire is yours. Trust yourself that when you get the desire, you just want to experience something, that is as good as done. You are God, but not like the mind-made self-God, like the actual God that like is running everything, that everything's coming from, that everything is being lived by. You are the universe. You are God, and so is everything else. You are in charge of your experience. This I know. And so whatever you want to do, you can. Real simple, like Neville says. You claim it. You get the desire, it's yours. You claim it. Say thank you. I like to do that. Thank you. It's mine. Now, some things may need to move. Right? Some things may need to kind of purge out, whatever you want to call it. Some things just may seem like there's nothing happening, but there is. As long as you're claiming it, knowing it's yours. You already said thank you. Hey, thank you. Because me and my Father are one, right? Like, Neville talks about that. Jesus talks about that. Me and my Father are one. Because you are the same. But he is much greater than I, because it is doing everything. You're just in your little focal point. Right? Then all you have to do is not buy into opposite thought. Mainly coming from identity. So the idea is to just recognize the illusion of identity in general. Like, it's something you have to identify with. Like thoughts and like belief, like thought patterns and certain belief systems that you've identified with. And said, this is who I am. And at that point, like Eckhart says in The Power of Now, like you are a human mind. You have become a human mind pretending to be a human being. You don't want to be solely identified with mind. Just walking around thinking that like you gotta be you're at the mercy of every thought, every experience, because you got stories about everything, because you all your awareness lodged up here, all your attention lodged up here. No, start like creating some space. Like, oh, that's just a thought. That's just a thought. That's just a thought. I don't have to identify with that. That's just a thought. That's just a thought. That's just a thought. Oh, that's just a thought. You're going to find stability here, and you're going to start to feel like you don't have to worry, that you don't really have a lot of need for things. Because why would you? You're not buying into a bunch of shit thoughts and thinking that you need something to complete you, because you're going to feel really complete as is. If you're not buying into thought, if you're not creating these little identities for yourself and little dramas and I got to have this, and once I get this, I'll be able to do this, and once I get this, I'll be able to have that. Like, no. You're going to feel whole. You're going to, it's a realization that you're going to feel within when you stop buying into mind. And then from there, you could jump into another identity if you want to. It'd be a lot smoother. But ideally, you just kind of stay detached from identities and start picking experiences. You get a desire, you get something you want to do, you say, okay, thank you, that's mine now. And then you kind of just tell stories of how it is, if that's what you like to do. Or you just say that it's done, and continue living your life, doing things you like to do, experiencing yourself as fucking God, because that's what's actually happening. And then it'll be there. It's already done. And you'll feel less of a need to identify with every thought that's opposite of that, because you've already proven to yourself that you don't have to identify with thought. But anyway, your desires are yours. That's it, right? Your desires are yours. Just like, I used the Eckhart Tolle story because, like, that's a guy who, granted, I get comments all the time. It's like, man, do I need to affirm while I'm disidentifying? Do I need to tell a new story with all this stuff? It's like, you can literally do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. But the idea is to claim it and not buy into not buy into the opposite thought. That's real simple, right? But yeah, that's pretty much it. So anyway, I love you guys. Don't buy into thought. Claim it. Oh yeah, I brought up the Eckhart Tolle story because, like, he didn't have. I went blank there for a second. He didn't have to. He wasn't affirming for anything. You know what I'm saying? He was just like, okay, I'm just gonna write the book. Like, and it just kind of guided him there. Like, and then look at it. Like, look at what that book's done. Look. It's crazy. It's super impactful. All from, he didn't affirm. He wasn't like, oh my gosh, like, it's gonna sell 10 million. It's gonna sell 10 million. I'm gonna be on Oprah. He didn't do any of that. He claimed it. So, okay, I'm writing the book. The desire was his, and then it turned into that. So, like, I just wanted to put that example to not freak anybody out when I say, like, just focus on you, on what you like to do. Your desire, same thing with the person. Your desire, that's yours. Okay, that's your person. Now, don't create a bunch of story and buy into a bunch of story and why it's not going to happen, where they are, all this extra stuff. It doesn't matter. They're yours. Now continue living your life. If you want to have little inner conversations about it, then do it. If you don't want to have inner conversations about the end, then do it. You want to tell stories, do it. But don't buy into shit. It's already yours. You are God. This is what that whole God thing means. Isn't that crazy? Like, you are being lived by it. And so is everything else. It's quite amazing. But anyway, desires are yours. Live your life. Have fun. Know it's done. Love y'all.